I think some people don't understand how African Americans, we don't trust each other. I don't know what happened to us during segregation or slavery. We just don't trust each other. So if Mark Allen had the Mark Allen Currency Exchange or the Mark Allen Credit Union, I'm like, Mark's a brother. I can't trust him with my money.
But then what happens with this? Then stop the freaking complaining. Because one, you complain about the fact, and that's why I keep saying, come and stay on message and not arguing about the messenger. Because if you don't know me and don't trust me, then how the hell do you trust somebody who don't live in the community, you don't know in the community, you can't find in the community? And so at some point, you've got to answer your own question with, am I going to respond to the message that will speak for itself?
But you know,
and not just
we jealous of each other. We would trust that Arab guy, that Yemeni guy who runs the grocery store. We'll trust a major corporation that brings stores into our community. We'll trust everybody except each other with our money.
Well, and again, then you've answered your own question. So when you look, so don't show up at these funerals. Don't show up at these shootings. Keep saying, what can I do to stop the violence when you keep analyzing your way out of what the answer is. So if you keep saying, I don't want to trust black people to move my money, then you contributed to the shooting. If you want to keep saying, I don't trust blacks to loan me money and I can pay them back, then you contributed to the funeral. So don't keep showing up and making these damn excuses about why the physical violence going on if you're not going to look your own self in the face and say, I was too busy arguing about why I don't like Jesse and why I don't like Farrakhan and why I don't like Sharpton, that you didn't listen to the proper message and you helped kill the very people that you say you're trying to keep alive.
Mark Allen, I got to take a left turn before I get out of here and finish this interview. I got to take a left turn. Before I take that left turn, do most of the churches in the African American community, do they put their money in an African American owned bank or a bank that is contributing to our community?
Well, one of the things that we're looking at is you've looked around the country and seen that the black church, and I think they said somewhere around $500 billion that they take in every year. And the fact of the matter is, that's part of our economic challenge as well. What are we doing with the money? The church is still the most sound and the most stable economic institution in our community. And so part of that very challenge still remains. What does the church do to take that $500 billion and put it back into the very institution and community to keep that money turning around? And so even the church, and I'll say this again, one of the things that I've said is that whether it's black church, whether it's black leadership, or whether it's black people, we've done the best that we can do, but it's not the best that could be done. Yeah, and so instead of analyzing, I'm just saying, you asked the question, if the black church takes in $500 billion, then the question now becomes, how do we start redirecting even the church? Because we just assume because you're in leadership, you know. And what we're saying is a lot of people in leadership who are there because they made a good speech. It's not because they proved they knew how to manage money. And so we've got to show the people and say, I'm glad you asked. But so now, here is the economic solution. As Dr. King said, when they started the movement for how you take the church out of just Sunday and put it into the streets Monday through Saturday. And that's part of the problem too, is how do we take it and start moving it to where it needs to be? We talked about where it's going, but who said here's the answer for how you start redirecting it? And that's part of that Black Wall Street Challenge.
Okay, I gotta get off there. I can do that whole church thing for a whole hour, man. And I may have to come back and revisit that question. Rahm Emanuel and young black men and boys committing crime. Let's do Rahm Emanuel. I hear these folks, and mainly African-American men, complaining about Rahm Emanuel where he got to go. Isn't that a trite argument? Aren't we beyond who's just mayor of Chicago, whether he goes or not? What are we doing? I mean, we got a black president. Has anything got any better? So I'm not saying you don't get rid of Rahm Emanuel, but we have to look beyond just electoral politics to solve our problems. That's what I'm trying to get to.
I will say this again. You can't control a political process until you have the foundation of the economics. And you go back to basics. When black business start putting their money together is when you saw a black empowerment movement. And even in the Harold Washington campaign, we had a political agenda that did not make sense until Ed Gardner put the economics behind the politics, and that built the machinery that brought us Harold Washington. But the fact of the matter is, once again, you can't complain about a Rahm Emanuel. You know, he's a mayor. You can't just complain about a Daley. He is a mayor in an office. But what I'm concerned about is, how in the hell did that even happen when you have a majority number of registered voters in the city that don't vote? And so, as the late President John Stroger said, a voteless people is a hopeless people, because Daley didn't have to stay in office for 23 years.
That's right.
When black people had the overwhelming majority of voters on the books that could have taken Daley out anytime they wanted, and people didn't. And so you sit on the sidelines complaining, but you won't get off your butt and get in the game. And so even now, if a Mayor Emanuel is mayor, he's only mayor because over 400,000 registered black voters sat on their butts. You could have elected a Carol Mosley Braun. You could have elected a William Doc Walls, former aide to Mayor Washington. You could have elected a grassroots activist, Sister Van Pelt Watkins. And over 400,000 black people chose not to vote for nobody. So you can't complain.
And the mayor knows this. He knows black people very well.
He knows when you're serious.
That's
so,
right.
So again, I don't have to pay no attention to you when I see you sitting on your butt not doing nothing. I don't have to pay no attention to you when you've got this $1 trillion power that you can't even use to sustain the business in your own community. And so black people got some waking up to do. And part of it has to do with not talking so much about what the more popular leaders are doing, because guess what? When people start moving at the grassroots level, more popular leaders have a way of catching up to where people are going. So for those people that see my face and hear my voice, hear what I'm saying to you now. Go back to the days of we are the leaders we've been looking for. And I'm telling you now, when we the people start moving our dollars in ways that start empowering our people to live, and not in ways that still keep them going to the gang, drug, and other illegal economies to live, you turn the people around, and leaders will find a way of catching up with the way the wind is blowing.
Hey, Mark, the show is over. This segment is over, so I got to come back and talk about these crazy boys and try to get these young men to stop this crime. Can I come back next month, man?
Let's do it.
All right, Mark, you the man, Mark.